Thank you. Next week. Oh, really? Oh, no. You ready? Okay. Everybody ready?
We're ready.
It's time to call the Ferrisburg City Council meeting to order for Monday, June 3rd, 2024. Amber, could you call roll, please?
Councilmember Montgomery.
Here.
Councilmember Sias.
Here.
Councilmember Murdoch.
Here.
Councilmember Kate.
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Yes.
Councilmember Sterling.
Here.
Mayor Carlson.
Here. If we could all rise for the invocation by Pastor Chris Beneke of the Lakeshore Lutheran Fellowship, please. Followed by our Pledge of Allegiance.
It's my privilege and honor to be here to offer prayer. Let us pray. Oh, Lord God, Heavenly Father, on behalf of all who are gathered here today, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for the gift of life and measure of health we need to fulfill our callings. Thank you for how you provide for us day by day. We thank you for this community. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. And Lord, we thank you for our great nation, for all the freedoms we enjoy. Thank you for loving us as you have in Jesus, out of your boundless grace and goodness. In your word, you've said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order, justice. Therefore, I pray for our mayor, Richard Carlson, and for these city council members. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom, govern the face of the various issues and amid any conflicting interests. Give them a sense of the welfare and true needs of the people of Ferrisburg, a desire for justice and what is right, confidence in what is good and fitting for this community, the ability to work together in harmony, even when there is honest disagreement, and give them peace in their lives and joy in their task. I pray for the agenda set before them this evening. Please give them an assurance of what is pleasing to you and what would benefit the people and businesses of the city of Ferrisburg. In the name of Jesus, pray.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Now is the time for public comments. This time on the agenda for any citizen to direct brief comments or questions to the City Council. Time for public comments will be given when the agenda item is discussed. If you have a comment or question, please raise your hand to be recognized and speak your 3 minutes. Any public comment this evening? Yes.
Hi, I am Cheryl Clark. I'm your new Ottawa County Treasurer. And I wanted to come and introduce myself to you because my friend calls me the geek because I've been working behind the scenes doing all the work in the office, and not many people know me, so I need to get my face out there so you can recognize me. I was appointed to the treasurer's role in December, took office in January, and I have been busy ever since then. Just to give you a little bit of my background, I was the chief deputy treasurer for 15 years before being appointed. I was also the Robinson Township treasurer for 9 years before that. And I have worked for Ottawa County for over 28 years. So I have a total of over 32 years of experience in public financial management. I am a hands-on treasurer. I am involved in investing all the county's money. We have over a $200 million portfolio that we invest. And we follow the Ottawa County's investment policy and Public Act 20 while doing that. I also am involved in assisting taxpayers in getting their taxes paid. And some of the ways that we do that is we meet with them personally, we give them hardship exemptions, and set them up with payment plans, and also go to their home. I try to go there personally, and I went there one time this past March to a taxpayer's home and set them up with a payment plan and gave them a list of agencies that can help them get their taxes paid. And I stopped their property from going into foreclosure. So that's one of the things that I aim to do as the treasurer, is to reduce foreclosures. 0 would be perfect, but we do have some that are just small gap pieces of property that we do have to foreclose on to get, because they're owner unknown. So then they become the owner of the property of Ottawa County, and then we're able to try to give them to neighboring property residents. I provided you with a copy of my treasurer's report, which I presented to the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners. And if you have any questions, my business card is on there, and you can contact me at any time, and I can answer those questions.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Any other public comments at all before we get moving on? Seeing none, let's move on to Agenda 6A, consideration for approval of the consent agenda. Approve the May 20th, 2024 City Council minutes as printed. So moved. Support.
Councilmember Sias.
Yay.
Councilmember Sterling.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch.
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Yes.
Councilmember Kate.
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Very good. Moving on to new business 7A presentation, John Kinch, Executive Director of the Michigan Energy Options Community Energy Plan.
Carlson,
Gary.
Post. I wanted to do a brief introduction to John and
Of course.
make a couple comments. Gary Post, I'm one of the citizen representatives from Ferrisburg on the steering committee for the Community Energy Plan. The other member, Nick Petrangelo, is represented by his wife, Barb, tonight. Nick is facing some issues, but I wanted to thank you for your particular involvement, Mayor Carlson, in the open house we had here in Ferrisburg, and also note the involvement of Craig Bessinger and Will Montgomery in a number of the meetings we've been having and continue to have since the Community Energy Plan Task Force Committee selected John Kinch with Michigan Energy Options to help the community come together with a really great plan. So I just want to remind you that I'm the chair of the task force, and anyone on the council has questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. John?
Thanks, Gary.
Good evening, and thank you for your support of the Community Energy Plan. The communities that are involved with this plan, the Grand Haven Township, the city of Ferrisburg, and the city of Grand Haven, where I live. So not only do I run this state nonprofit, I live here in the area, and it's really important to me to see. What I thought I would do is give you just a very brief update of where we've been, where we are, and where we're going with this plan. I know some of you, like Craig, have been very consistent about being part of the steering committee and appreciate the day-to-day feedback. But we're at the point now where it's important to let the government know, it's Here's a definition of what community energy planning is. I think of it this way. There are 3 pillars to this exercise we're going. One of which, elaborating on all 3 of these, is the data analysis and research we're doing regarding how much fuel we're using, how much fossil fuel we're using, how much carbon we're creating, those kinds of things. Doing this carbon footprint of the entire region. It's in the BLP services territory. Okay, so we're not doing every community, but we're doing where BLP serves. Secondly, we are doing a lot of community engagement and asking people's opinions and getting their feedback on what we're trying to do. We had a community survey, which was extensive and well received, and I'll talk about that. And then lastly, you put those two things together with what are best practices in the industry. Other communities in our state and country have gone through this process already. So we've been gathering up strategies and actions from different places, and also looking at some of the policies in the state to determine what we think are the best actions moving forward as we move forward to decarbonize the area, and also turn our attention to more distributed renewables and some of those kinds of clean energy assets. So this is where we've been. We got going last fall or less, and conversation, but it's been a very robust experience. We've had a very good steering committee made up of folks from the PLP, local units of government like yourself, as well as other stakeholders and experts in our. So we are tasked to deliver these things per the request for proposals. A carbon footprint for the region, like I mentioned to you. This has to do with all sectors. So everything that's using energy, whether it's generating energy, consuming energy in our buildings, or our transportation sectors as well. We're spinning out good, better, best scenarios, looking out into the future, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, what might be the best way we move forward to decarbonize economy. As I mentioned, we've had a very active, robust community input with really good turnout to our events and really good response. And strong opinions, good opinions. Then lastly, we will be coming forward with our strategies. So that's the sequence. So my colleague David Gard has expression follow the data. So one of the things we're going to be doing is following the data. Greenhouse gas inventory that we've done for our sector is very thorough. It's not exhaustive. There's probably a few things here and there we could improve on if we had a little more time, but I think it's pretty good. And so our data is telling us some really interesting things about our region. One, by the way, is how we're going to go about rolling all this up. So the idea is that we have a baseline that we've created, a benchmark for 2022, in which we know that this is where we're starting in terms of renewable energy. Doesn't mean we haven't done anything toward this, because we've had a decade at least. The Board of Light and Power doing all kinds of energy efficiency programs. Some of you have taken part in over time. Then from that baseline, we're going to say, okay, how do we rapidly decarbonize the economy? And then we have these various scenarios that we can do it at. So good, better, best, so to speak, and then various scenarios that you can have as many as. Pathways forward. So one of the things you may be aware of is the state of Michigan passed the My Healthy Climate Plan, which has very ambitious carbon goals for the state, one of which is carbon-free electricity by 2040. This doesn't mean all renewables. Nuclear's in that mix, waste energy. But nonetheless, we're treating what the state has come forward with its goals as being essentially what is a good trajectory for ourselves. Want to do better than that, this doesn't mean that it's all something building operating locally. The Board of Light and Power has 20% of its fuel that it's purchasing that is renewables. That bits and pieces of various solar farms from. But it does suggest that a number of distributed energy programs and projects be state. Imagine some things around EV, air source heat pumps, around having weatherized and so on. Transportation. So 30% of our carbon footprint is the transportation sector. We've been doing pretty well overall in the energy sector, the generation sector, as we all know. The Sims plant came down a few years ago, so we're not creating any kind of carbon in our community directly. But transportation is a challenging one. Take a look at this pretty busy table. If you take a look at this, we're looking at what are the time, how can we even do other things in between? Hybrids, think about various other kinds of things we can do, like anti-idling programs. And you can see that, it's going to take us some time, but the expectation is that we can get there eventually. Now, there's really two major pieces of the EV puzzle. One of them is public, the individual folks driving their EVs here and there and parking, charging. The other side of it is fleet management. Cities are operating, whether it be a fire truck or whether it be something like a pickup truck. Now, one of the suggestions we're going to be making in our strategies is that cities can be a real mover on the EV world because fleets you kind of control, and they come back to the yard at the end of the day and in the morning, so you can charge them up. So this is a really fascinating opportunity for us. Many of us probably know from looking at the headlines, Michigan's EV infrastructure isn't there yet, so there's a lot of range anxiety. People and just pulling up at the Exxon station. But nonetheless, we have very bright people working on this. We ourselves have been helping the state of Michigan working on the Michigan circuit. What we're in here, and this the idea is you take an EV all the way around into Wisconsin. So a big part of this is going to be looking at we had a community survey. I don't know if any. It was well attended. We had something near 100 respondents to it. And the intent of the survey is to understand where people are on their energy literacy, know about it, what they care about it, asking folks if they've heard of particular technology, asking folks if they'd be supportive of it going forward. It's really to understand the community's aspirations. Because like I said, you might have targets you recognize that are important in terms of carbon they're producing. But if you don't have the public will and the engagement with that, it's going to be very challenging. So I'm pleased to say that very positive responses. Just to think about here, Grand Haven. It's about a 22-question survey. I'm only showing you a couple slides nonetheless, but I thought this is a really important one. The idea that climate change isn't whopping of a but the people we surveyed said that, yeah, it's a big problem, but they think there are local solutions. Make a difference. Things we can. One of the things we have clearly seen in this work we've been doing is that the notion of local resilience, this notion of energy independence, being cohesive, is really an important thread that we're going to be working with and actually accenting that support. So this is along the same kind of lines that people are very interested in the idea that we would come forward with programs and projects that are here locally, help us prepare for climate change. Climate change is not affecting our area like it does in parts of the country. Nonetheless, I think planning for that makes sense. What I'm going to use as my argument is that the Coast Guard has a climate adaptation resiliency plan they have in place. For Coast Guard City, if it's good enough for the Coast Guard, it seems like it's something. Yes, so I've been in this business running Michigan Energy Options for a dozen years or so. Always the top of the list when you propose some renewable energy programs or energy efficiency programs people are concerned about. And that's certainly something we have to address and be cognizant of, but I will say a couple things about it is that some of these programs and projects that you do have return on your investment. wind up saving you money long haul. You might have a capital investment front, like the solar array that's on Canaan. Eventually it has to pay back. The other thing is to help people understand with costs. Like I said, I live here, so I'm not interested in finding a bunch of programs and projects that mean it's going to be on the taxpayers or so there's a lot of funding out there, federal and state, getting hold of to do. The other one that's interesting is just this being resistant to change. It is, all communities are, so we have to kind of unlock. If we can present some of what we're trying to do in a way such that, makes people, this is about the yeah, so one of the big concerns with a lot of the Inflation Reduction Act money out of the Biden administration is that folks in lower income brackets are also going to be caught up and benefit from transition to. And so our region is cognizant of that it's and that they those folks need to be tended to as well. So need a plan. I had a boss of mine who said, fail to plan, fail. I would add to that, I would say, no plan, no funding. So a lot of the money that's out there, land in place, the country is looking for a community energy plan that the boxes you need to check. So when we're done with this exercise, we'll check that box, and that's going to make us more effective. That's really yeah, and the other thing about this is that people really see this as a collective effort. Historically, we've relied on the utilities, the BLP, make sure the lights come on. Right? We've never really thought much about where the energy comes from, how they get it, all those kinds of things. We're concerned about our bill, but not much beyond that. And so it's interesting to see that none of these, and I'm nonprofit director, I'm a little bit bottom of the list in terms of leading the charge. What I'm really impressed with is the fact that it's all these various entities together, that one sector that's going to benefit from something. Take all of us. Oh, so we're finishing up our report, our plan. We've been workshopping with various steering members, and we're doing what we're doing. Some of the stuff we have so far to stakeholders, government. What you can expect in the near future is drafts of. Then ideally we'll be able to put you folks plan that you can adopt or questions about into the books. And like I said, the way to attract money projects we propose, have a plan in place, local government ratifying that plan in the sense that more and more now, federal and state money is looking for intergovernmental jurisdictional cooperation. Foundation of what I'm happy to answer any questions if you feel free to read.
Anyone have any questions?
Your Honor,
Yes.
thank you for all this information, but I question the wisdom of stepping away from a clean, reliable source of energy called nuclear energy and relying on things like wind and solar that in this part of the country don't work. And we're expected to pay the cost of that. All the stuff that's going on that doesn't work, we're expected to pay the cost of that. I want to know how this plan is going to address that.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, let me elaborate. Our plan is looking at the distributed grid, if you will, not the utility grid or the bigger grid out there. And so nuclear and those kinds of things are federally designated. They're on the transmission grid. We're talking about those things in the distribution grid that the BLP operates. So we're not talking about large-scale wind or large solar necessarily. We're talking about things we can be doing locally. Roofs of our buildings, if we want solar on our buildings, efficiency in our buildings and making them more comfortable and affordable. Are those kinds of steps we can be doing as a community that complement some of the other bigger energy
But we've
issues
been
out there.
shutting down nuclear power plants that are clean. They don't produce carbon energy. They don't produce
They are
that.
carbon-free. They're going to be in the mix, absolutely.
Well, where are they?
Well, we have one that's getting turned back on 10 miles down the road.
Being turned back
Down
on
south.
because somebody realized that's a good plan. Yeah. I just don't understand where all this stuff is going.
The other thing I'd say to that, sir, is that oftentimes say you hedge what you can hedge. So in other words, if you're doing energy efficiency at your building and you're cutting your energy costs, your rates go up year over year over the next 10 years, whatever. The BLP has been very good about keeping it low. But if they go up and let's say you're running a business and you're the CFO of that business, or like you're a Craig, and you've got 30% of your generation you're doing on site and you're working on energy efficiency things, that cost over here that's going to go up and up and up that you can't control because it's controlled by utilities or the forces like that. You're at least managing some of that yourself. And I think that's a wise move to do for fiscal responsibility. It's not all the pie, but it's a chunk of the pie that I think is helpful to governments to help build it. So we're really focused on that kind of piece of it, much more so than the
And then in the transportation realm, the most expensive vehicles on the market are electric or hybrid.
So one of the things to think of there.
And yet,
Okay.
our government, Michigan, wants to start charging us for usage because we're not producing enough gas mileage taxes. They want to start charging us for highway usage. That's not going to help the average person. There is nothing in this entire program that I see that helps the average American citizen, the average Michigan citizen, the average Ferrisburg citizen deal with energy costs. Nothing.
So one of our intentions is strategies or actions is to emphasize the home energy retrofits, whether it's something which is a lighter touch or a deeper touch. Holland to our south has done that very successfully for years, which really, again, gets back to that notion of hedging what you can hedge. If you can drive the cost of energy down in a household by 10%, especially a household that may have other financial concerns, you're doing something for that average American. Absolutely, you're doing something for that person. You're looking out for that piece of that pie that you can operate on, do something about. Some of the larger concerns, yes, sir, they're big concerns, and they're our plan. We are going to do everything we can to think local, act local, think about resiliency. Resiliency isn't just outages. Resiliency is also social. It's kind of like social capital. It's about what the community values, what the community wants to see going forward.
Yeah, I think, this could really be broken into two categories, right? Generation and reduction. And the home retrofits that this group is identifying for our residents, will be beneficial more than I personally think generation, right? We're finding grants and we're finding funding, whether it's on-bill financing or different types of funding, in order for people to retrofit their old houses to save more energy. So it's less energy that needs to be produced and less money they're spending on power consumption, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things we always say is efficiency first.
Yep.
So
So
you do that first, and then you look at the other stuff.
So I am curious, as you look at clean energy generation, both locally and into the grid, you talk about a reduction of carbon. When you talk about that, or when you cite the clean energy, are you looking at the life cycle of the power generation and not just the generation itself? For example, turbines, right? They typically you're putting more carbon out building and transporting a turbine than what it'll offset in its life cycle. And solar is often similar.
Well, the studies I've looked at regarding, I think you mean like a wind turbine.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about. combined cycle
Correct.
natural gas. Studies I've looked at look at both that very issue, like the embedded energy it takes to make solar. These are not my studies. I didn't do the work myself, but many of them, you take care of that embedded energy cost, that carbon, if you will, relatively soon, lifetime of that solar array being put into business, or that wind farm operating, so they offset that, and then it is, using carbon.
Until it's done, and then you don't have a way to recycle it.
Well, we're working, sidebar, I've got Second Life Solar going on. Cycle, repurpose panels so they don't those.
Good.
There are concerned turbines they're working on. I think there's going to be a profit motive at some point, and somebody's going to solve it.
Yeah.
We're working hard to solve the solar. We haven't built out nearly as much solar in the state of Michigan as suggested. 10, 20. Well, it's not a problem for the folks at all.
Right. Have you guys talked at all about shifting meetings to evenings for the energy steering committee?
I know what you're getting at, because sometimes noon stuff.
Noon's difficult for a lot of people. Anybody that works.
We've actually talked about like moving a couple into the early evenings. With that, I think you just convinced me. Whoa. I thought you were getting at like I can have the lights on or the air conditioning.
No.
I thought it was an energy question.
Yes, go ahead.
John, originally, part of this program was helping funding the homeowners with retrofits for solar. Have you secured any funding for that?
No, we have not gotten to that phase yet, but let me tell you about exciting opportunities that are coming along. We, of course, have the Florida Light and Power, right, which has its efficiency programs that it offers for residents and industrial. One of the things that's happened in the state law that passed last fall, that their requirement for 1% of their sales to go towards energy efficiency programs for their customers is now 1.5%. So they're going to be offering more rebates and incentives to customers. Secondly, the state of Michigan, through the IRA, is going to be launching a home rebate program. So that is going to be in addition to what the BLP. One of the things we do in our world, we work with utilities. We have programs for utilities. We're working with a number of interested parties now. Make sure that we can line up these programs stacked nicely together, so that you might get a rebate over here from the utility. You might get state. Perhaps there's a loan out of Michigan Saves that you can access. USDA has funding. There's all these ways, and we really believe strongly that the best projects are which you're braiding all this outside funding. So the capital cost for that person or business, those you can get.
Anyone else have anything for John?
Again, thank you for your support.
Okay.
Thanks for the questions.
Gary, did you have anything to add? Would you like to?
Comment about sort of survey the group and try to get the most people to attend the meetings. I know you have also attended remotely in some cases. Well, we can do another survey and try to take your idea.
Great, thank you. Great, thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Moving on to 7B, a presentation by Ellen Peters, Executive Director of the Loudoun District Library.
Hi, I won't take a lot of your time. You have a lot here going on. So I understand that John and maybe Lisa would come talk to council and kind of just say, here's what's up at the library. So here I am. I'm passing around the annual report. We'll be doing a new one in a few months. I'm also passing along some millage facts. It'll be on the ballot in August. So I just thought I would go through kind of a summary of what we're doing now and what we hope to do in the future. Can you hear me okay? I never know if I'm speaking in or not. So If you've been in the library, you know that we have a lot of physical items. We have a ton of books, audiobooks, music, videos, all sorts of things. We also have a really great local history and genealogy department that is well used and well loved by the community. And we have a lot of programs, events for both kids and adults that are going on every day of the week. We've expanded our hours. We're open on Sundays now. We brought back Sunday concerts by popular demand. That's the number one thing I was asked about out in the community when I first started working at the library, so we're doing that now. And we have one-on-one help with technology. We have really great staff who can sit with people and help them figure out digital downloads and things like that. You can borrow, as somebody was saying, from all over the state. You can borrow materials through Mel. And we belong to a cooperative, the Lakeland Cooperative, so you can borrow materials from them as well. We just started our Grand Adventure summer reading program for people to sign up to. We have tons of prizes, including a couple of guitars, just all sorts of really cool things, stuff for kids, stuff for adults. And so that's really fun, and we encourage you to come and join up or go online and join up. And we added a new book drop in Robinson Township. We would like to add more of them around our district, and we're also hoping to add lockers around so that people who live, farther out don't have to drive in. And we're talking about adding homebound services, so people who can't leave their homes, we can mail materials to them and they can mail them back. And then a final thing is Friday at 5 o'clock p.m., and you're all invited, we're doing a ribbon cutting for Brooks Media Center. And we have spent the last several months building this. Everything was paid for by donations, very generously. And we have a donation of over 3,000 vinyl albums from, the 1920s all the way up to current time. It's really cool. So the room will kind of have a retro feel, but we'll also have music on CD. We'll have listening stations. You can put on headphones and kick back in the chair and listen to cool old music. You can also check out record players, take the records home with you and stuff like that. So that's a new addition. But we haven't been able to do outreach out in the community, which is something I've wanted to do since I started here, to the assisted living homes, to daycares, to preschools for early literacy. And we're also running into, as you know, like the Headley rollback has hit us again this year. The community originally voted 1 mil for us, and we're down now to 0.9410 from Headley rollback. And then also our penal fines dropped 20,000 this year. And DDA projects have captured 44,000 of our money this year. And so all of these things, our vendors have increased our costs anywhere from 12 to 18%. So the property tax have gone up, but we get dinged on the other side and our costs are going up. So what we're asking for in August is, it's a small supplemental millage for 10 years. It's 0.1557. So what that means to the taxpayers is $15.57 a year for the average household who owns property, obviously. And with that, we will bring all of these new outreach services. We'll expand our library and genealogy hours, and just add more services, and hopefully get lockers and more drop boxes out in the community to help people who live farther out. I think that's about it. I mean, there's more that we want to do, but those are the big things. We want to get out in the community and serve people where they are, do the homebound mailing and things like that. Right now, we just don't have the staffing levels to do any of that. And so, anyway, I just wanted to give you the facts on that, but to also tell you all of the wonderful things we're doing. I hope that you come into the library and do our summer reading challenge. You can read the annual report. It has all the dry statistics and all of that kind of stuff. What we circulate, how many books, all of that kind of stuff. And so enjoy that read. And do you have any questions? And I guess at the beginning, I should have said my name is Ellen Peters. I'm the director of the Loudoun District Library.
It's Ellen, right?
Ellen,
With
yes.
an E.
With an E,
With an E. Friday, the dedication, what,
yes.
5 o'clock?
5 o'clock at the library. We'll have some refreshments. It's named Brooks Media Center after a longtime board member, Burton Brooks. He donated a giant chunk of the money for this. He donated all of the albums. And then we got some more current donations because his donations kind of stopped in the 1950s. And so we kind of fleshed it out with some other donations. And then the Grand Haven Community Foundation was very generous also and gave us a grant to kind of cover the rest of it. So we're really excited to be able to have that special space and have it donated, and we're hoping all of you come out. Everybody's welcome.
Anyone have any questions at all?
Your Honor. This is for Craig and Ellen.
Yes.
Given the fact, and I've been confused about this since I moved here
Okay.
5 years ago. Given the fact that we all have Spring Lake addresses, does the millage for Loudoun District Library cover our use at the Spring Lake Library, or is that a separate issue? Because I can go there without a Spring Lake Library card
Yes.
and check things out on my Loudoun District Library card.
You can. So we have a reciprocal agreement with pretty much all of our other Lakeland cooperative libraries that allow you to do that. But also when we did our district library agreement way back when, long before I was here, we had a special agreement with the city of Spring Lake that we would pay them. That's where another chunk of our money goes to every year, because we're taking tax money away from them for the Spring Lake Library customers. We pay them every year for that.
So
we kind of give them back the taxes in a way.
Our Loudoun millage covers the Spring Lake Library. Do I understand that correctly?
No, it
No, I
doesn't cover
don't.
the Spring Lake Library, but it allows Ferrysburg residents with the Spring Lake Library to be Loudoun library members. Does that make sense? And we have a reciprocal agreement.
I've been using it for a long time.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just want to know how it was all covered.
They have their taxes, we have our taxes, but we play nice together.
And
Does that
somewhere it
help?
all meshes together.
It all meshes
right.
together, and we love the Spring Lake Library. It's just beautiful, and they're wonderful, and so we play nice together. We have that reciprocal agreement in place.
All right,
and
thank you.
So it works well.
Anyone else?
Your Honor, I have a question. Is it Ellen?
Yes.
Ellen, the increase in the millage, is that just for operating expenses, or are there new programs planned by the library?
Operating
those
expenses to cover new services, so like outreach services. It'll be staffing. And so we have a donor who is talking about paying to build a maker space in the library, which will have all sorts of really cool 3D printers and technology stuff, but also things for people with mental disabilities. It's kind of a long explanation, but we have a lot planned. We might have like a kiln with pottery wheels, so it'd be like a maker space for both technology and art stuff. We can't afford to do that on our budget, so a donor would put it in place. But if the millage passed, we'd go, oh, we can have some programs in there now because we can have staff. We'll have like a couple extra staff members who can work the outreach and the maker space. So yeah, it's primarily though going to staffing and just kind of filling in the gap where we're getting dinged by these other things to help us get through each year.
Anyone else?
Yeah. Are these finances from 2023?
Yeah, I think it's probably the end of 22, 23 is what you would be looking at there. We'll have a new one that comes out probably in a few months.
Okay.
That is 23, 24. So we wait until after the end of the year. It takes about a month to get all the stats in, and then we have to assemble everything.
Well, it looked like you were operating that deficit. That's why I asked it. Are you still?
Yeah. So the way that it's been working, it was all planned out that when we did our building, we ran a bond millage. But I don't know, maybe they thought it wouldn't pass. So they said, well, we'll pay for half of it. And so basically, it's years of paying off our half of it. And so it puts us into a deficit every year. But they planned for it. So they had a general fund, and they kind of timed it out that the general fund would last long enough to pay off this bond and then some. And so it's kind of, it's looks like a deficit, but it was a planned deficit, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I would have personally asked for the community to pay for the whole building, but you know, I understand. I understand why the decision was made. And
Anyone else?
Craig, we voted a while back to put this on ballot, didn't we? The renewal?
so the library is its own municipality. So unlike the museum, who has to go get permission for each of the municipalities, the library doesn't do that. But I'm kind of going around and talking to everybody anyway, just to kind of let you know what's going on and answer any questions that you might have.
Well, I'll just say I use your online books every day, and the millage is much cheaper than an Audible.
Thank you. I know the $15.57 a year. I looked up the price of a new book, and they're like $20 now. And I'm like, okay, for less than the price of a new book, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a very good value. Libraries are great, and we're very, very busy all the time. We had Touch a Truck this morning, and all the fire trucks were there, all the kids were there and everything. And so I'm sitting in my office for like 2 hours. All these horns are honking because the kids love the horns. So they're in there's honk, honk, honk. And you go out in the library and it's just wall-to-wall kids, and they just love it. Like, we do a lot of really fun stuff, and it's a well-used and well-loved library.
Are there any plans this year or this summer to do a story walk in Ferrysburg?
There is a story walk coming up, but I'm not sure if it's Ferrysburg. But I'll find out, and if it's not, I'll ask them to do Ferrysburg next.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything?
I've attended your programs for adult crafts. I'm pretty faithful with that, and I think it's a great thing, and there's no charge, which is amazing.
Yes, it's really nice, and I think it's important to have things like that in the community, because people who really can't afford to, like, go to a painting program or something, you know, don't get to do those things unless but the library offers that.
It's really great. And Katie, the girl she's great. Really great.
She's amazing. Our staff, I have to say, they're just so dedicated, and they get really excited by those programs. Like, oh, I have this program tonight, and you can just tell that they're full of joy to do it. They really
nice.
like it.
Anyone else?
I am just one last question.
Sure.
It briefly mentions in here the new library cards give you discounts around town.
Okay, so that is September. So that might have come out around that time. There is 1 month a year. I think it's September, like Library Card Sign Up Month, and we partner with Spring Lake. I think just Spring Lake, and we have cooperating businesses in both towns, and they give discounts to anybody who shows their library cards. And so it's a pretty long list. You can go onto our website and get a brochure. We always have a flyer with all the different cooperating businesses, and it's growing every year. So it's pretty popular because the businesses, it's good for both.
Yeah.
Do those businesses advertise that?
I think they do. We get signs for them to put in their windows, but I don't know
Okay.
if they're taking advantage of that opportunity.
That's kind of key to that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anything else?
Appears to be none. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Appreciate your time. Moving on to 7C, discussion and take action if appropriate to approve or not approve the city participating in the Board of Light and Power Green Energy Program. You want me to say a couple words, Craig, first, if I may? Craig and I had sat down a couple weeks ago with the interim superintendent of the BLP and Eric Booth from the BLP. And one of the ideas that they had thrown at us was the city having the opportunity to buy into the green energy program. And Craig, can you go over the details of that?
Right, so if you buy into the green energy program, you're buying 100% renewable energy from the Board of Light and Power. Right now, they're at 30%, so there's a difference of 70% that the city would have a higher premium for kilowatt hour. And so the Board of Light and Power did some calculations, and in your packet, it shows about, for the 3 main buildings of the city, it'd be an additional charge about $460 per year. This is not all the city accounts. If you look at all the city accounts, a majority of our electric bill is for streetlights. And so we're starting with a small step of doing the 3 city buildings at first and see how it works out.
And our thought in the meeting when it was presented to Craig and I was that City Council in the past has been very supportive of renewable energy and being good stewards. You don't have to look far, and we've got LED lights now in City Hall, as well as solar panels and battery backup in this building. And this is something for under $500 a year that the city could make a commitment that, hey, we're gonna be doing 100% renewable energy within the city of Ferrisburgh for our uses.
Your Honor.
Yes.
A question, Craig, it's been a while since I've seen the calculation for our solar panels. Do we pay that company or do we pay BLP?
We pay the company.
And so we pay, what, 75% of the rate or something? How does that work?
So they do the calculations, and the savings that was generated by the solar panels, they get a kickback of 75%, and the city keeps 25%.
Okay, so will that be, will that affect this cost?
Minimum, I would think.
We're gonna have.
The basis is how much electricity we are using. This
The
calculation.
savings are, right? But do they calculate based off the normal kilowatt hour cost or this new cost?
I think when Mr. Shelley did this, he calculated those savings based on the actual use of the building.
Out of our historical usage.
Yes.
Which would include what we have up in the roof.
Correct.
Correct? Yeah.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
If we agree to this, this is just approving the city to participate, not necessarily our citizens?
That's correct, just the city, 3 city buildings.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And in terms, we also have asked about backing out if it doesn't meet our liking.
Right,
as well.
we're in for a year.
Right, we're in it for a year for $500, under 500.
Would you like a motion?
I would entertain a motion.
I would entertain a motion that we approve the city participating in the Board of Light and Power Green Energy Program.
Support. Very good. Any other discussion on this?
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
bottom line, what's it do for us? Money-wise, energy-wise, what are we in for?
Supporting green energy.
What's that mean? Green energy.
Renewable energy, wind, solar.
All right, we live in an area that is not in the Sun Belt. We don't have space for wind farms. We've, as a state, turned our back on nuclear energy. We've shut down a perfectly reliable coal-fired plant on Harbor Island. What does this mean?
There's no cost savings to the city. It's just more of a show.
Well, no, what we're doing is we're buying into renewable somewhere else in the country. Correct?
Correct.
What
We're buying
doing.
100% renewable.
Mr. Cade, I really appreciate your pragmatic approach. I truly do, because, you know, it was expressed earlier that the mayor is supportive of the community energy project, and frankly, I'm not supportive, yay or nay. It's more of a fact-finding mission, because for me, the jury is still out on a lot of this stuff. But I'm looking at it and saying, hey, for the energy that the city is going to be burning through, rather than us doing it from using energy that is using generating carbon, we can use non-carbon generating energy, and that's a agreement we can make for a year.
You and I are generating carbon right now by talking.
Yes, we are.
So
Agreed.
I'm just saying.
Let's talk.
Yeah. Let's talk.
Can I say something, Rich?
Of course.
This is about sourcing the energy. No, this isn't about producing the energy. This is where, you know, I understand what you're saying, Bill, but the BLP gets their energy different ways. One of them is by buying credits, renewables. We're committing to basically spending extra money to make sure that those are the sources of our energy. So just to clarify, that's, you know, this is about sourcing our energy, not so much producing our energy.
Correct. Any other discussion at all? Seeing none. Amber, we have a motion on the floor.
Councilmember Sturley.
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch.
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt. Councilmember Kate.
Oh, I think you know my answer. No.
Councilmember Sias.
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Moving forward to 7D, discussion and take action if appropriate to adopt a resolution pledging the full faith and credit of the city of Ferrisburg to the Spring Lake Special Assessment Lake Improvement Bonds in the principal amount of $3,600,000. The city of Ferrisburg's share is 27%. Craig, do you want to fill us in on some details,
Sure.
please?
Back in 2005, or before 2005, there was a Spring Lake Lake Board, and they got together to address some of the concerns with lake quality. And at early 2000s, the board decided to put down an alum treatment, which would adhere to the bottom of the lake and try to prevent algae growth. At that time, that project was expected to last for about 10 years. And they got about 15, since 2005, it's lasted that long, longer than they expected. But they're concerned with the water quality again. And so the board has approved putting down another alum treatment. And to do that, they need to pay for it by bonding. And the city is responsible for payment of 27% of the bond, but that 27% is collected from the residents of the city on their winter tax bill. And so on anybody that has lake frontage or back lake lots, developed, undeveloped, they get charged a percentage or a flat fee based on the type of property they have, and that's collected and pays for the bond.
And so the only citizens of Ferrisburg that are paying for this are those that are in that special assessment district.
Right, it's not really a district, it's everybody that has lake frontage on Spring Lake, one of the boat lots, back lot, if they have access to the lake, like Gables condominiums, all those units in there have access to the lake, so each unit in there pays a special assessment for the lake board.
So essentially, you're just asking for the city's blessing that we're guaranteeing the bonds. Is that
That's correct.
Backing them. Okay.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Craig, we already paid $600.
Yeah, you pay $600 for 10 years.
Yeah, so that's that.
Yeah.
They've already taken that. It was attached to our taxes. We had no choice
That's correct.
for the honor of living on the lake.
Correct.
So we're done. They've done it,
They haven't done the treatment yet, they just started collecting.
but they've got the money.
Right, they're expecting the treatment to do this fall.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Craig, can you tell us about how much money the city has in bonds right now, obligations?
For the city itself has no bonds. We have a percentage of the bonds for the water plant and the wastewater treatment plant.
My question is, what happens if we don't approve this? They're still gonna take my $600 every year.
Right.
So why do we need to guarantee it?
It's just a formality that is required by the bond council.
So if we vote no, maybe we'll get our $600 back. Well, my concern is there's a limit to how much the city of Ferrisburg can bond for. Well, what happens if at some point we have to bond for the bridge? Or we have a major sewer backup? Or, you know, a major catastrophe where we have to bond to repair sewer lines or water lines, or heaven forbid the city hall gets blown down. How's that gonna affect our standing in the ability to raise money in the future for projects?
The city can bond for up to 10% of our taxable value. So we can bond up for our $26 million of direct debt for the city. This other debt is indirect. It's part of the city, but it's not paid by the city.
So what is actual numbers for the sewer plant? We have to pay for the sewer main underneath the river. Is that all in the one bond issue?
That's a bond that was issued by the wastewater treatment plant that the city has an indirect debt. We collect that money from the customers to pay for that bond.
We co-signed that bond, correct?
City council approved the issues of that bond, yes.
So my question to you is, what is that number?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. Our lift stations were $1 million. Water treatment plant was $5 million. And we're responsible for, I don't know, it's less than $2 million probably.
Okay, so the bike path bond is paid off?
Yes.
Okay, what about this lift stations? That bond's paid off?
No, that was we're paying that off.
Is that included in the sewer plant millage?
It's included in the sewer bill, water sewer bill, quarterly water sewer bill.
No. We owe a percentage of the sewer plant renovations.
Correct.
Correct?
Yep.
The lift stations that we approved about 10 years ago, we bonded to do the lift stations, the city of Ferrisburg bonded, correct?
So when the wastewater treatment plant did their improvements, we jumped on the bandwagon with them and issued $1 million bond to do the renovations for the lift stations in the city of Ferrisburg. We're responsible solely for that $1 million bond.
Okay, so at this point, the only bond the city of Ferrisburg is 100% liable for is the lift stations. The millage or the rate for the sewer improvement, the sewer station improvements are covered under the rate increase in the sewer, correct?
That's how it's being paid for, yes.
Okay. We have plenty of room if in fact we have bond for other things?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have anything?
Your Honor?
Yeah.
If I've done my math correctly, 27% of 3.6 million is $972,000,
Yes.
right? Who pays that, the city or the residents with lakefront property?
The residents with lake frontage.
I'm sorry?
Residents with lake frontage.
Okay, thank you.
Craig, this is probably a dumb question. Is the city of Spring Lake not on Spring Lake?
So the three communities that are paying for this is Ferrisburg, Spring Lake Township and Fruitport Township. In the, village of Fruitport.
Right.
Spring Lake Township includes,
Village.
It includes the village of Spring Lake?
they're
Or just
included in
Spring
the
Lake
township. They're included in the township.
Okay. Because they're not listed here.
Right.
So it was I did have a resident concerned, and I don't know if this is the time or place, but I did have a resident concerned on the lake that felt that the Lakeport Board was not getting competitive bids.
My understanding, there's 2 companies that do this work. That's about all I know on it right now.
I'll share in William's sentiment. I've had the same concerns expressed from a few residents as well about non-competitive bids and whether or not, given the condition of Spring Lake, if this is the best way to go about it compared to really attacking residents with their lawn fertilizer and everything.
I went to that board meeting, Spring Lake board meeting. Basically, they said, this is who we're using, sit down and shut up. That's it.
I used to be on Spring Lake Board, and I couldn't do it because it was one-minded, and that
Yeah.
was that.
They totally disregarded any citizens' statements. Basically, they just sat up there and they were gonna do this regardless. And the question is, they're gonna put alum, whatever, on the bottom. Well, as soon as somebody drops an anchor, it pisses it away. So it's a total waste of, have you actually seen any improvement in the lake?
I mean, every year we have algae.
Yeah, but I mean, since they did it 10 years ago or 15 years ago?
Probably in the beginning, when we first bought our house 30 years ago, we had to rake the lake. That's how bad it was. It was thick. Yeah, with the seaweed and everything. We don't have that anymore, but it's there. It's there. If you came and looked right now at our dock,
I live on the lake and I've never seen any improvement for all these treatments. They spray all the time and there's no improvements. I mean, we're throwing money, in my opinion, we're throwing it down a rat hole, getting nowhere.
I think there could be a better way to treat the lake, a healthier way.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the lake board's made their decision.
That's true.
So,
Craig, do we have a representative on the Lake Board?
Yes, we do.
Who is it?
Dave Billinghurst.
to his credit, he was the only one who opposed it on the board.
Used to be Vance Meyer, then Vance moved out of the city.
Could we invite him to a meeting?
Sure can.
Like to hear his.
When does this have to happen? When did they need a decision from us?
They did the public hearing. I don't know when they need a decision by.
Well, they already took everybody's money.
Yeah, they already stole their money.
Or are they asking for another 10 years?
No, the 10 years started last year.
Or last year?
Yeah, 2023.
So they're going to charge you maximum.
Doesn't make me happy. Our taxes are high without that.
Well, they're gonna get the money regardless, so why do we have to
We have no
guarantee it?
choice.
Bottom line, Your Honor,
Yes.
yes or no, is this going to make a difference
No.
to what the residents around Spring Lake have to pay?
No.
Well, why is it on our agenda then?
Craig, well, why is it on our agenda? I have a couple ideas, but I'd like to hear from Craig.
So maybe it'd be best if we have someone from the Spring Lake Lake Board come or the engineering firm come and talk to city council about the treatment. We have,
Mr. Billinghurst.
we'll invite him to, yeah.
Well,
Sound good to everybody?
I'll make a motion to table this. Or
Table?
Got motion and support to table. Okay. Craig, you're all set with
Yep.
what we want to see happen? Okay.
Yep.
Moving on to
Excuse
seven.
me, we need to take a vote.
We have to vote on the table?
Very good. Amber?
Councilmember Murdoch.
Yes, I want to table it.
Councilmember Montgomery.
yes.
Councilmember DeWitt.
Yes.
Councilmember Kate.
Yes.
Councilmember Sias.
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley.
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Moving on to 7E, discussion and take action if appropriate to approve a proposal from Moore and Brudnick for $53,000. City of Ferrisburg cost is approximately $13,738 for design and construction engineering for the Tri-Cities Connector bike path repairs.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
the three communities have agreed on Moore and Brusnick as,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
So the Tri-Cities Connector Path was put in the early 2000s. If you look at some of the slides here, some of the work that needs to be done. So the gates and fencing are starting to rust. Got some settling going on. Some broken pieces of the fence. So we had some, it was constructed in early 2000. 2008, we did some minor repairs. 2017, we did some extensive repairs on the Sky Bridge that goes up to the drawbridge. Underneath the beams were all painted and sealed. And some additional work needs to be done on the bridge right now. The plan is to do design engineering this year in the fiscal year 24-25 and do construction or repairs in 25-26, probably the fall of 2025.
What's the guesstimate as to what Ferrisburg is going to be paying in 24 or 25 or 26?
It was right around $100,000 total. For Spring Lake Village, the city of Ferrisburg, and Grand Haven would be close to 50% of 200,000.
So this engineering fee is what, 10% of the total cost? Sounds like it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, it's been going, engineering costs about 15%. Spring Lake Village did approve this proposal from Moore and Brunchick. I haven't heard from Grand Haven yet.
They're probably voting tonight, right?
I don't know.
Yes, sir.
So we're looking at roughly a $200,000 repair to the system. Is that the guesstimate we're kind of working with?
Yeah, it was $330,000 plus contingency, design engineering. Total project cost about $420,000.
And Ferrisburg's percentage would be?
Our percentage would be about 25%, a little over 25%.
So about 100,000?
Yes.
No, we can handle that in the budget next year?
We'll have to budget for it next year, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal with Ferrisburg's cost of approximately $13,738 for design and construction. Engineering for the Tri-Cities Connector Path repairs.
Support.
Any further discussion?
Craig, has with this being a connector, it kind of, who's taking the lead on this? Is that Spring Lake?
I'm sorry?
What municipality is taking the lead on this project?
Usually Grand Haven does. We started this project. We've noticed that there's been some work needed to be done on the bike path. We tried to get it moving last year without success, so we tried a little harder this spring, and that's how we got it pushing. So I'm not sure it's going to fall in our lap or not.
So who decided on Moore and Brugink?
We invited Moore Brunchick because they constructed it and they were involved in the repairs the last two times.
Have we explored, because this is a connector path, have we explored any grants or state funding that may be available because it's connecting our communities?
Typically, there's not grants for repairs.
Okay. What if we replace a section?
I don't think it needs to be replaced, no.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Amber?
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt, Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias. Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you. Moving on to 7F, discussion and take action if appropriate for the selection of the 2024 recipient of the Chamber Business Recognition Award.
I would like to nominate West Michigan Towable Solutions. They've been in our packet a lot lately, working with the chamber on creative options to expand their business while staying in Ferrisburg. Admirable. And just as easy for them to, pack up and move to a bigger location. Keeping them in Ferrisburg, they're a solid business, a great business, and I think they're
I'm
They're
sorry,
worthy.
Will, I didn't catch the name of that business.
West Michigan Towable Solutions.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They're the
okay.
ones that are doing the addition on Carmen, right?
Yep.
Anyone else have any other suggestions or anything to add?
Your Honor, I was gonna suggest the Pine Street Cafe in light of all that they've done since the ownership, but I'd be amenable to West Michigan Towable Solutions.
I like Pine Street too, but they've gotten it in the past, I think, a couple of times. Be nice
Yeah,
to
we
recognize.
we
the new
seem to
business.
gravitate towards eating establishments.
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
perfectly happy with
Tony's,
West
yeah.
Michigan
Yeah.
Towable Solutions.
Yeah, I have a motion. Yep.
I have support on this. Does anyone else have anything to add? We have a motion and support on the floor. Hearing none, Amber?
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias.
Yeah.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Very good. Moving on to 7G, discussion and take action if appropriate to approve the mayor's proclamation designating October 16th, 2024 as Business Recognition Day.
Your Honor, I'm making a motion to approve the mayor's proclamation designing October 6, 2024 as business recognition.
Very good.
Support.
Discussion? Hearing none. Amber?
Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Councilmember Sturley,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember DeWitt,
Yes.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Moving on to 7H, discussion and take action if appropriate to schedule a work session as a regular agenda item on the June 17th, 2024 agenda. Craig, did you have any thoughts on that from City Hall?
I had a couple suggestions, economic development bylaws, a forever millage, and a bike path maintenance millage.
Could you repeat that again, please?
Sure. Economic development bylaws,
Okay,
forever millage, and a bike path maintenance millage.
okay.
And before we decide, is everybody going to be here July 3 for a meeting?
Close to the 4th. but-
Day before the 4th?
July 1st? July 1st.
July 1st,
July
right?
1st.
Not 3rd?
Right.
First, yeah.
I won't be here the 3rd,
The third is Wednesday.
but the 1st I'll be.
Big question is, are you gonna be here?
Yeah, I just want to kind of figure out how heavy to put the agenda for the 1st and the 17th.
I mean, I'm okay if it's not heavy.
Well, on one of the topics, we're gonna have the lake board here at the next meeting, and I have the results of the North Shore speed table survey.
Oh, both of you. Okay, good.
Tyler?
Okay, yes, sir.
I'd like to propose the bike path maintenance and the forever millage. We're running out of time to get it on the ballot.
You run the bike path under the forever millage?
Well, one or the other or both.
The option.
Yeah, I still don't quite understand what the forever millage covers I'm confused on that.
I think it can cover whatever we use, doesn't it?
Well, no,
So you're looking for options for the work session?
Topics.
could you get us more, information as to what the forever millage is specifically? I know Grand Haven was specifically for certain things, wasn't it?
Yeah, so if Ferrisburg was to do something similar, we have a street millage that's gonna expire in 2 more years. And we could, our bike path millage just expired, so we can kind of jump on that bandwagon a little bit where we will levy this millage when that millage is over. And this millage has been over, so we wanna levy this millage now or something like that.
So we could roll 3 or 4 current millages into one. You know, the equipment millage, that was just renewed, wasn't it? Shortly ago?
The equipment millage expires in 2031.
So I guess I would,
Yeah, we'll put something.
we need to discuss that.
So we'd entertain a motion on that, right?
Well, no, that was Craig's suggestion, right?
That's your suggestion?
That's fine, those
You're
3
not gonna
topics.
we don't need a motion on this.
That's
You want to
fine.
do all 3 topics July 1st?
Sure. Let's
The
just-
17th, June 17th.
17,
June 7th.
17.
Okay.
If something doesn't get taken or time restraints, we can move something to July 1st.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
So you do not need a motion on this.
I got consensus.
Very good. Okay, that concludes our new business. Time for public comment. Anyone have any public comments? Yes, sir. You could state your name and city
I will.
residence.
My name is Don Munsky, and I live at 17700 County Drive, just about 5-minute walk from here. So I do walk past City Hall quite frequently. One of the things that I wanted to point out with the presentation on the energy plan is all of us have sat on the bridge, waiting for the bridge to go up. And one of the things was that's putting carbon into the atmosphere. So that would be something, and one easy way to reduce carbon going into the atmosphere and make a whole lot of people traveling a lot happier. There was some way that we could avoid that. That's just something to keep in mind for when maybe someday new bridge is built. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wish.
Any other public comment at all? Ellen, Barb? No? Okay, very good. Moving on, report, city manager?
No report?
Fantastic. Anyone like to take the lead from city council? I will. Okay, Mr. Kate?
Question for Craig. Is there any news on our ballot initiatives, especially the changes to Chapter 3 of our city charter? I know it was supposed to be submitted to the governor for her approval. Have we heard anything?
The city attorney submitted it. The attorney general had a couple questions for clarification, and then we're back and forth, and it's getting wrapped up so quickly.
All right, so are we confident it will be on the November ballot?
Yes.
Thank you.
No report. No report? Okay.
The Recreation Commission meeting for this month was changed to the 27th, right, Craig?
Yes.
That will be at William Ferry Park. We have our music and food trucks party in the park coming up in June, the 3rd Wednesday of June. So I hope to see everybody at William Ferry Park. It's always a end of report.
Great. Jake?
No report.
Wonderful.
I just have a question for Craig on the next meeting. You mentioned the economic bylaws.
Yes.
Has the economic task force met to create the bylaws, or are we creating the bylaws, or What exactly are we discussing?
I'm looking for direction for city council.
No report.
Okay.
Well, the beautification committee's limping along. We've had some illnesses in our group. We have no videographer right now for the parade. Everybody said no. We have no band. Everybody said no. But we will have a great picnic for sure. We'll all be there working. I don't know about the parade. I think it'll be what it is, and it'll be okay.
Yeah, we got some interest coming in.
Yeah.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Have you guys asked Sweet Justice?
No, the band that played last year is playing again.
Just talking about in the parade, right?
Oh, in the parade. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we were trying to get bands for the parade, but nobody's,
Can I ask a question, Debbie? Have you solicited every high school?
yes. Report, Mona Shores,
The kids are off.
Muskegon, everybody, yeah, no. Nope, everybody said no.
Is there like any alumni bands that would?
We've
Consider it.
reached out to every band director, every school, and they all say no.
And the group that meets here in City Hall.
Oh, yeah. What about the group that meets us?
I don't know what that.
It's,
Just
the Montessori, right?
Walnut Green, I did ask the instructor and she hasn't got back to me yet.
I don't know if they have a
That's usually a
capability of
no.
a marching band.
But we have a band that practices here in City Hall once a week or something, don't we?
Walnut Green band students go over here and
No,
practice.
isn't there an adult band that practices here? I know there is an adult band that practices here.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
They must sneak in and
Yeah,
practice.
I've seen them coming when I come to
We need those
meetings.
key cards, Craig.
When's this?
I've seen them coming in when we come to meetings, bringing
I've seen
horns
some
and,
too,
and
yeah.
instruments, and I'm always curious if
Do you think that's
our
kids?
public comment will be exciting or. But yeah, there's definitely an adult band.
I'm done.
Okay, very good. A couple comments from me, and that is Cops and Cones is this Saturday. And that is from what, 1 till 3, is that correct? Yep. And free ice cream cones for the kids, Sheriff Department vehicles, and I thought I'd get a tank of helium to give away balloons, okay? The kids love balloons. Blair has got sparkles for all the ice cream, so sparkles, balloons, and ice cream. The kids love that. Of
Correct.
course, we're all welcome to show up.
I haven't seen that advertised.
It'll be starting tomorrow.
Coming.
Is this Saturday?
Yep.
Like in 5 days or
5 days.
It's gonna be a last minute blitz.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, just checking.
Yep, I sat down with Blair, and we came up with 2 dates that were
Okay.
this weekend or next weekend. This is the way
Yeah.
it worked out, so.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
End of report. Very good.
Awesome. We'll be there.